Now let's talk about string methods. Everything in JavaScript is an object. A string is a primitive data type. That means we cannot modify it once it is created. The string object has many string methods. There are different string methods that can help us work with strings. So let's explore them one by one. The first one we are going to discuss about length. The string length method returns the number of characters in a string, included empty spaces also. For example, if I declare a variable, let's use let keyword, let JS is a string, that is JavaScript. Now if I want to find out the length of the string, I can say js dot length. This is gonna find out the length of this string, including the white spaces. Now if I leave some white spaces over here, let's console log now. Console log the js.length. Now if I save this console, as you can see, I wrote something wrong here. Let's fix that. Console, as you can see, it is returning 11. That means it is also including the white space also. The characters are 10. There are 10 characters, but there is a white space that will also be included. That's how the length method works. Let's take one more example for now. Let first name is my name. Now let's also find out the length of this string by saying first name dot length. This is gonna return the length of the string. Now if I save this, as you can see, it is returning 8. Now let's talk about accessing characters in a string. We can access each character in a string using its index. In programming, counting starts from 0. The first index of the string is 0 actually, and the last index is this length of the string minus 1. We are doing minus 1 because counting starts from 0, right? In order to find the last index, we have to minus 1. Let's see an example now. Let's just remove this. Let's just remove this console log. Okay, now let's also remove the space also here. Okay, now if I want to access the first letter in this string, I can do that by saying let's store the first character of a string in a variable. Let first letter is equals to, I can say, the name of the string, and here I can specify which index I want. Here I want the first letter, right? That's going to be in the 0th index. Now if I console log the first letter here, what do you think will be written? As you can see, there we have our first letter that is present inside the index 0, that is this one, index 0. Now I can also find second letter. Let's say second letter. I can do that by JS by saying 1. Like counting starts from 0, 1, 2. So I can find out the second letter by saying here 1 here by accessing the 1th index. If I save this and console log the second letter, as you can see, there we have the A, that's the second letter. Now what if I want to access the last letter? I can do that like this. Let last letter is JS. Here I can manually find out, right? That's at the 10th, right? If I can directly say here 10. Now if I console log the last letter here, as you can see, it's returning undefined. Why is that? That's because the index, that is counting starts from 0, right? There are 10 letters here, but counting starts from 0, we need to actually specify 9 here. Now if I save this, there we have our last letter. Now what if I want to find it dynamically? I don't know how many strings are going to be here. I don't know the index value. How can I find out? How can I find out that time? So here I can say, let's remove this console log for now. Here I can say let last index. Let's find out the last index first. That's going to be string. Sorry, that's going to be js dot. How are we finding the last index? By saying length minus 1. The length will be written as a 10. By doing minus 1, we are finding the last index of the string. So now if I console log last index here, as you can see, there it returns 9. Now I can say console log js last index. Last index is storing 9, so only that we are saying here that we want the last letter. If I console log this, as you can see, there we have the last letter. Now let's talk about toUppercase method. This method changes the string to uppercase letters. Now let's remove these for now. As you can see, our string it is lowercase, right? So using this method we can convert it to uppercase letters by saying js dot to uppercase. Now if I console log the result, as you can see, all the letters of this string are converted to uppercase letters. Let's similarly take this example now. If I say console log first name dot to uppercase. Now if I say like that, as you can see, it was also converted to uppercase letters. Similarly, we also have toLowercase method. This method changes the string to lowercase letters. For example, if I say JavaScript in capital letters, here I can use toLowercase. Now if I console log now, as you can see, our JavaScript, capital letters JavaScript was converted to lowercase letters. Similarly, we can do that with this first name. If I say to lowercase, now save this, as you can see, it was also converted to lowercase letters. Now let's talk about substring method. It takes two arguments. One is starting index and another is number of characters to slice. Let's see an example now. Let's remove these console logs for now. Okay, here if I use the substring method here, I can say string, sorry, we should use the variable name, that is js dot substring. As I said, the starting, it takes two arguments. One is starting index. Let's say I want to start from 4th index, and another one is going to be number of characters to slice. So here I will specify 6. Now let me just tell you what's going to happen. Here I am specifying the starting index. Starting index is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This one, right? And here I am specifying 6, meaning number of characters to slice, 6 characters to slice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is going to slice 6 characters. So if I console log now, and hit save, as you can see, script. That's what we discussed about, right? It takes first argument as starting index, second one as number of characters to slice. Similarly, let's take one more example. Let's just say first name dot substring. here I will specify the starting index. Here, this time I'm going to specify 3, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going to start from A, and I will say slice 1, 2, 3, only 3. Here also I will specify 3 characters. So what should return here? It should return A now, right? So if I console log, let's just console log for now. As you can see, it's returning A now. Now let's talk about the split method. The split method splits a string at a specified place. For example, let's say JavaScript is a programming language. GUAG. Okay. Now let's just save this. That should be script. Okay, I made some mistakes. Okay, now if I call the split method on this string, let's say js dot split, let's also console log the result. Now first it's gonna convert the string into array, as you can see over here. Now if I say, if I specify double quotes here, meaning no spaces, if I save that, as you can see, it just converted this string into each individual character. It just split it each and every character, right? Now similarly here also, if I console log first name dot split, if I just call it like that, it's gonna convert it to an array. If I specify if there is no space, split the string, right? Now if I say it like that, as you can see, it just converted each and every character. It just split it, right? Now similarly, if for example, if there were JavaScript, Python, PHP, HTML, let's just assume these are our programming languages. These are programming languages. Now if I say, if I specify comma here, now if I save this, as you can see, wherever there is a comma, it's gonna just split the string. As you can see, there was a comma here, so I said wherever there is a comma, just split the string. So it just splitted the string. Now as you can see, that's how it works. Similarly over here also, first name dot split, wherever there is no space, it just split the string into each and individual characters. That's how it works. Now let's talk about the trim method. Trim method removes trailing spaces in the beginning or the end of the string. For example, let's remove these console logs for now. Okay, let's also change the string. Let the JavaScript be there. Is a programming language. Okay. Now if I leave some spaces here, around here and here, now if I console log the string js, as you can see, it is leaving some spaces, right? In the console also, it is printing with the spaces. Now I can call the trim method here. If I call the trim method, as you can see, it just removed the white spaces. That is why the trim method is used. Similarly, if I have some spaces here, if I console log first name, as you can see, it just has some white spaces. I can just call the trim method. It removes spaces. Up next we have includes. Includes method takes a substring argument and it checks if substring argument exists in the string. Includes returns a boolean. If a substring exists in the string, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Let's see an example now. Let me just remove these console logs and also these white spaces. Okay, now let's just say js dot includes, I want to find out whether the string has a substring script. Remember, it's gonna return if the script substring is present inside the main string, it's gonna return true or false based on whether it exists or not, right? Now if I console log this result, as you can see, it returns true. That's because the script substring actually exists in our string. Similarly, let's just say program. That should say program. Now if I save this, as you can see, it returning true. For example, if I say something that's not in our main string, as you can see, it is returning false. So that's how this includes method actually works. Now let's talk about replace method. Replace method takes a parameter, the old substring and a new substrings. Actually two parameters here. One is old substring and another one is going to be new substring to replace. Okay, for example, if I remove this, let's just say, inside of the console log, I'm gonna say js dot replace, and here I'm gonna specify the first one is going to be the old substring which we want to replace. I'm gonna specify JavaScript, and the second argument is going to be a new substring which we want to replace, right? Which we want to replace instead of JavaScript. So if I say here Python, JavaScript is going to be replaced with Python. Now let's just check. As you can see here, the JavaScript was replaced with Python. Python is a programming language. Now let's talk about the char at method. Char at method takes index and it returns the value at that index. For example, if I console log js.char at, here it takes the index the index of the value to return. If I say 0 here, that's index, right? If I say 0 and save, as you can see, it's returning j. That's the character that is present at the index 0, that is j, right? Similarly, let's take one more example here. Let's just console log the result directly. Here I will say first I'm gonna find the last index. For that, let's just say last index. You know how we can find the last index? By finding the length of the whole string and minus 1, right? String dot length minus 1. Now we have the last index, right? Here it is stored in the last index. Now if I say, why is it giving me an error? String is not defined. Actually we need to use this string, right? I made a mistake here. Make sure you use the variable name that has the string. In my case it's js. Now we have the last index of this string. Here I can directly say now js dot char at last index. Now it's gonna automatically return the last index. If I say that, you can see the last index, character at last index, that is e. That's why it is returning an e. Now let's talk about the index of method. It takes a substring, and if the substring exists in the string, it returns the first position of the substring. If it does not exist, it returns -1. As simple as that. So let's just remove this. Let's assume that I want to find out the index of t here. I don't know the index of t. Suppose if I want to find out the index, I can say js dot index of, here I can specify t, one more thing you need to note, that if I also have a t here, it is only gonna return the first position of the substring. Okay, let's just say, let's just also add a t here to prove that to you. Now if I console log the result, console log, as you can see, it is saying the t is present at the 9th value. That is correct, right? That it is returning the index, mind that. So let's just find out script. Here in this case, it's gonna find out the first index of that substring. That is, yes, it's gonna find out the first index of that substring. Now if I save that, as you can see, it is returning 4, 1 2 3 4, right? 0 1 2 3 4. That's why it is returning yes, that's present at the index 4 now. That's it guys for this video. In the next video we are going to talk about checking data types. So I will see you in the next one.